We continue with our Church in the Wild. This week we are thinking about the original monastery. Creation herself can be our first sacrament, a way, a path to grace. Hello, beautiful people. It's Reverend Beth Walker here in my backyard. I came to this place to be next to my garden and next to my beautiful zucchini. In this COVID-19 year, I have devoted some of my time to a vegetable garden. Early in the spring, I purchased some seeds such as carrots and tomatoes, peas, beans, broccoli, sunflowers, and cucumbers. Once they were seedlings, we planted them into our new garden bed. Never before had I paid so much attention to the temperatures, knowing how the delicate relationship of when to plant my seedlings outside, or the relationship with precipitation, discerning if my small plants had had too much water or not enough, and the sun. Each plant has a different requirement for sun. In an attempt to ripen my tomatoes, I moved them from the side of my home to the front of my house. Good thing they were in containers. Our harvest has been fantastic. The tomatoes are still ripening, but we have eaten fresh zucchini, beans, peas. Vegetables have never tasted so good or brought me so much joy. This has been a gift that nurtured my body and my soul. It is more than just food, it is a sacrament. When viewed through this lens, we discover that when we cultivate an intimate relationship with the natural world, we discover more about the presence of grace. Now, how do you speak about grace? That is our creation. Well, we use metaphors most of the time, of course, because how can you speak of something that was created at the beginning of time? The creator of the psalm today tries to sing about the truth of creation that we have known all along, but may not have been able to articulate on our own. This is evidence for me that ancient people, like all people, have been wrestling with the reality of the natural world. The psalm goes like this. Praise the God from the earth. You see monsters in all the deep. Fire and hail, snow and frost, storm, wind, fulfilling her command. Mountains and all hills, fruit trees and all cedars, wild animals and all cattle, creeping things and flying birds, queens of the earth and all people, princes and all rulers of the earth, young men and women alike, old and young together. The enduring relevance of the psalm is testament to their usefulness in modern spirituality, providing us with words when we can't find them. But what we mustn't do is think that these human creations have surpassed or replaced the revelatory role of nature. This song reminds me that it's not just humans, but all of creation, including the sea monsters that are part of God's creation. Even the lashing rain, the bitter cold is part of the handiwork. It is not all sunshine and light, but is part of the great system that is a wonderful mystery. This knowledge grounds me and puts me in right relationship with the world despite the effects on my vegetable patch. Nature continues to be a sacrament, a conduit to divine grace, grace revealed. Now, I asked Reverend Keith Howard about grace, and he put it like this. I'm paraphrasing Keith. Grace, he said, is like God reaching out. Faith is us reaching back. In this reaching both ways, there is relationship. It's like a caring person who creates a beautiful meal for a gathering of people, and when the family come home, the table is ready. or the food is well on its way if you come to my house. This is grace. Faith is believing that you belong at this table, no matter who you are. If you're just hanging on or you have it all together, you belong. And there's a place and a space for you. Grace is when you know you are loved exactly as you are. Grace is an entirely different way of experiencing life. Grace is when you aren't striving or controlling or trying to change or manipulate or make something happen. Grace is when you find yourself carried along, when all that's left to do is to receive and be. Grace is revealed in relationship that you see, feel, touch, taste, and it is a sacrament. And then you feel something, and well, that's just joy. What an extreme pleasure it was for me, an absolute pleasure of seeing Shelby and Kalili working together in relationship so that they could twirl. It moved my heart. I could see the stuff of grace. This sense of the sacrament can extend our vision out into the world so that the ordinary is not just ordinary. Everything can be a sacrament. And I mean every person, every creature, plant, every object or experience can be an opportunity to encounter something of the divine presence, if we're in relationship with it. Sacraments reveal grace. St. Francis of Assisi had an experience of grace and joy. He wrote, "I spoke to my friend, an old squirrel, about the sacraments, and he got so excited that he ran into a hollow of his tree and came back holding acorns, an owl feather, and a ribbon he had found." And I just smiled and said, "Yes, dear, you understand. Everything imparts God's grace." All of our interactions with nature can be sacraments, and all the ways nature extends herself to us is sacramental as well. It offers a spontaneous and always a reminder of God's creative, upwelling, and expansive love, calling us to love beyond her boundaries. Why does this matter? When we encounter nature as a sacrament, we no longer objectify it. We can instead create circumstances that nurture and nourish this kind of a vision of love. And this means every creature, every creative thing can be a window, a revelation of the divine nature. It is an invitation to fall more and more in love with the world, to see that the teachers of grace exist everywhere. So my invitation is to go to nature, the original monastery. Yes, John, you can find flowers in Oak Bay, or Maggie, dragonflies coming and speaking to you. This is grace. Open your hearts to grace and God's love. Grow in relationship, kinship with all of creation. Be and find joy. Amen, amen, and amen.